Biden campaign this morning returned to an active crime scene. The sub-zero Manhattan courthouse, where Democrats have been pinning Trump down with a political ankle monitor. The criminal brought with him his co-conspirators, old men in black. Punchy Bobby De Niro, wearing a mask, still trying to slow the spread of populism.
Robert De Niro, there's something about being a star where you think your opinion's more important than anybody else's, and you can go give a press conference, and he obviously has been very vocal from 2016 that he hates Trump for whatever reason. Maybe they have some personal thing.
You think Trump ever threw a punch himself or took one? This guy who ran and hid in the White House bunker when there were protesters outside.
Robert De Niro thought he was stepping onto a red carpet, but it turned out to be a trapdoor. Joe Rogan showed up with the flamethrower, Jesse Watters brought popcorn, and what followed was a cinematic catastrophe De Niro definitely didn't direct. From tough-eye growls to mental gymnastics, this takedown turns a Hollywood icon into a bewildered extra in his own drama. Want to see how it all unfolds? Let's just say this isn't acting, it's a full-on comedy roast, no stunt doubles required.
Man in the world sent an actor who plays a mob boss to intimidate the jury before deliberations. Watch.
The Twin Towers fell just over here, just over there. This part of the city was like a ghost town.
Robert De Niro, once a symbol of stoic strength and gritty realism, has entered his final cinematic era, delusional grandpa mode. It's a sequel no one asked for, yet here we are front row for a meltdown so melodramatic. It makes daytime soaps look like stoic documentaries.
Press conferences. Now everyone's heckling him everywhere he goes.
That's so bad.
Like instead of just being this cranky old liberal, now you're this guy that is yelling at other people that are Trump supporters, and they're yelling at you. Like you've opened yourself up to this nonsense. Like, why?
Trying to be gentlemen in this world. The Democrats, you are gangsters. You are gangsters. Fuck you.
Now every movie you go to, 50% of the population is going to not want to go see that movie.
Meanwhile, while De Niro tries to outrage his own mob movie characters, two cultural powerhouses enter the scene, Joe Rogan and Jesse Watters, armed with facts, flair, and the kind of comic timing that hits harder than a Goodfellas slap. Joe Rogan doesn't storm, and he walks in calm, bemused, like he just saw a chimpanzee solve a Rubik's Cube.
Made an actor read a script in Lower Manhattan saying his opponent is worse than 9/11. And then the actor slipped and went off script and admitted he's trying to scare you. In politics, you can't admit you're trying to scare voters. It's not the movies. But watch what happens when there is no script.
What's your response to Republicans who say you're running on January 6th because you can't run on Biden's record? I'd say that's absolutely absurd.
There's no shouting or insults, just genuine confusion. How did De Niro, once a cinematic Simote Milk Rogan, leans back, shakes his head, and starts connecting the dots? He's puzzled and, honestly, a bit entertained.
For people in Hollywood that are entrenched in that world is to shut the because as soon as they start talking, people like, as soon as Robert De Niro starts talking, I'm like, Jesus, get that microphone away from him so I can enjoy Taxi Driver.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I don't want to hear. I love De Niro. I love those mob movies. It's like
I don't want to hear him that he's a moron. I don't want to hear him talking about politics and about Trump supporters, and just shut the up, man.
Yeah.
Like you didn't think this through. Like this is, and he's getting yelled at. He's doing an outside press conference. Like, Robert, you're 80 years old. Don't ruin this thing. You've had this life where you were raging bull. You know, you were in The Godfather. Like, stop doing this.
Man.
Don't do this.
De Niro, Hollywood's perennial tough guy, now sounds like the guy at Whole Foods lecturing the cashier about compostable receipts. Rogan, with his MMA background and sensory overload. Podcast, can't wrap his head around how someone with such cultural clout has become a walking Twitter thread. The once stoic menace of mob dramas now spirals like a Facebook uncle yelling about politics at Thanksgiving. Rogan isn't just confused, it's captivated. It's like watching a psychological case study unfold in real time. There's a surreal clash between De Niro's grizzled legacy and today's overwrought theatrics. For Rogan, it's no longer about politics, it's about witnessing a legend become a meme. He quips, "This is the guy who played mob bosses and war vets, and now he's screaming into mics like a substitute teacher losing control." Rogan smirks, wondering if De Niro's latest rant needs a trigger warning or a laugh track.
Most boring interview. He used to sell his movies on Leno and Letterman, and it was like watching a WNBA game. You just were bored to death. All of a sudden, Trump became president, and he started saying things. I want to punch the president in the face. You know, he's a crooked piece of... And then all of a sudden, De Niro became interesting during his media tours. And that's the only way now he can get publicity for his film, is by cursing and saying whatever he says the movie's Ezra.
For Rogan, it's not anger, it's pure bewilderment. How does someone with that much legacy swap gravitas for grievance? Why does every sentence sound like it was written by a group chat of aggrieved screenwriters? Rogan leans into the absurdity. It's not that De Niro changed it, it's that the curtain fell, revealing a man who thinks shouting equals moral superiority. The irony stings. This is a man who made his name playing unflinching, composed characters under pressure. But somewhere between Oscar campaigns and red carpet rants, De Niro went from steel-jawed legend to a guy screaming at baristas about oat milk. Now he's not surviving chaos, creating it. Rogan dissects the spectacle with that signature mix of Zen detachment and eyebrow-raised sarcasm. He's surgical in his takedown. This is a multimillionaire lecturing about the working class from a climate-controlled loft on the Upper West Side.
That she locked up because she's a complete and total idiot. But that's not...
She's in a pretty contest.
Not only... But that's not just that, dude. Anybody could get locked up like that. You're on stage in front of people with TV cameras pointed at you. You've never experienced that in your life, and you have a panic attack. It doesn't mean you're an idiot. And that's also Robert De Niro.
This is the same guy who hasn't seen a Home Depot receipt in 3 decades, now claiming to be the voice of blue-collar America. The contradiction practically hums. Then come the theatric pauses, squints, sighs, and eyebrow calisthenics like a satire skit, unsure it's satire. Rogan sees through the performance. It's not just phony, it's accidentally hilarious. This isn't Raging Bullets, Raging Boomer. De Niro's anger isn't raw. It's rehearsed, like a TikTok monologue gone rogue. And the worst part, it doesn't even feel like he believes it. Rogan calls out what everyone's thinking. De Niro isn't mad at the world's mad, the world stopped treating him like a prophet. He's not delivering a message, is auditioning for relevance. And the audience is heading for the exits.
Coming up in November. How do you decide who you're voting for?
The economy.
Whoever tells it how it is.
I think about who's better looking.
How handsome am I, right? How handsome?
Actor Robert De Niro says you must vote for Joe Biden or else.
Or else.
Or else what?
Or else the country is going to be destroyed.
We're in great shape now, right? We're doing great.
It might be destroyed.
Was the country destroyed the first time?
It was on the verge, yes.
How?
Well, it's a secret.
Never rat on your friends. And always keep your mouth shut.
I might vote for Joe Biden if Robert De Niro said it. I'm not gonna lie, he's one of my favorite actors.
If he pays me, I don't know, $1 million.
Where's the money?
Enter Jesse Watters, gliding in with the confidence of a cat who already knows where the mouse is. He doesn't yell, his smirk does the heavy lifting. Where Rogan uses baffled logic, Watters uses surgical satire. He tears into De Niro's antics like carving a Thanksgiving turkey precise, gleaming with irony and just awkward enough to make the kids at the table squirm. Introduction 9.
What be asking Robert De Niro about is 2 things.
Yeah.
Awesome movies and divorce.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Tell me what happened to
I
you.
would love to ask
with
about
the
that.
divorce. Tell me what happened if you want to talk about it, and tell me what happened to you with these awesome fucking movies. I don't need to know jack shit about his politics.
Well, he doesn't. That's the thing. He just tells you he feels a way. That's all he's got to say.
Yeah, but it's almost like it's almost unfair to have a guy like that on a public show and talk to him about politics.
Do you know what it reminds me of? When
The supposed truth teller. Now, making less sense than a script co-written by AI and a magic 8-ball, one moment De Niro preaches unity. The next, he throws tantrums that would make a toddler in Target blush. Watters doesn't just highlight the hypocrisy, parades it across the stage with jazz hands. De Niro's activism, designer scarves and gated driveways. His delivery, shouting, mistaken for substance. His message confused and curated for clout. Watters doesn't roast the sex, turning the meltdown into a modern art piece of irrelevance.
Excuse me.
You're washed up. And then they have a protest of Robert De Niro yesterday as a fool. He's a broken down fool standing out there. He got maggot. He got maggot yesterday. He got a big dose of it.
Donald Trump popping off on the Biden campaign's De Niro stunt, which bombed harder than Robert's last 5 movies. The actor was outside the Trump courthouse, letting his undiagnosed Trump derangement syndrome get the best of him. And even the liberal media was embarrassed.
He doesn't just call out the absurdity, holds it under a spotlight and adds a drum roll. De Niro wants to sound tough, but Watters points out real toughness doesn't cry when it doesn't get applause. The piece de resistance, the contrast between De Niro's iconic filmography and his current persona. Once the gangster with the iron fist, now a man whining about cappuccino foam. It's like Travis Bickle became a community theater drama coach, with feelings and jazz hands. Meanwhile, Rogan is ringside calling the bizarre shadowboxing match, and Watters is roasting marshmallows over the fire De Niro set himself.
Fuck up, man.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't think this through. Like, this is... And he's getting yelled at. He's doing an outside press conference. Like, Robert, you're 80 years old. Don't ruin this thing. You've had this life where you were a fucking raging bull. You know, you were in The Godfather. Like, stop doing this.
Man.
Don't do this.
I'm terrified to meet some of those people I looked up to now.
You should be.
I mean, like,
I've met a few of them, and it's actors in particular, because their whole business is pretend. Their whole business is pretend. You know, one of the things about guys like Theo or comedians, you run into comedians, their business is the opposite of pretend. Their business is just being a real person talking shit.
Yeah.
The professional shit talkers.
Yeah.
You know, having fun, being silly, talking shit about things. And actors are not that. They're weird people, man.
The rhythm is different, but the impact is the same. A sobering portrait of a man-made industry so obsessed with applause they mistook it for wisdom. Rogan and Watters didn't come for blood. They came for clarity. And in a world where actors mistake roles for real-world relevance, someone had to say, "Snap out of it, man." Rogan signs off with a sigh. Another one bites the delusion. Watters offers a smirk and a warning glance. If De Niro can unravel this fast, who's next? The takedown isn't loud, it's precise. And somehow, watching the Emperor shout at clouds in his boxers is still more dignified than De Niro's last. Press tour.
This entire thing was not a great idea.
Step away from celebrities. I don't think it helps. I think it kind of almost, in a weird way, sometimes backfires. Oh, those liberal Hollywood elites, and they're well-intentioned, and Robert De Niro is well-intentioned, but I think staying away from the courthouse would have been the best thing.
Morning Mika was taken aback by the raging tool and tried to get the Biden camp to backtrack.
The best thing for people in Hollywood that are entrenched in that world is to shut the because as soon as they start talking, people like, as soon as Robert De Niro starts talking, I'm like, Jesus, get that fucking microphone away from him so I can enjoy Taxi Driver.
Rogan doesn't overplay it. He leans into the deeper point, cultural fatigue, a collective eye roll every time a celebrity grabs the mic with recycled slogans and no solutions. His critique isn't just about De Niro, it's a broader cautionary tale about Hollywood hubris. Celebs love to talk about struggle, but where were they when it mattered? De Niro wasn't in the Bronx, was monologuing from a penthouse with imported flooring. Watters swoops in on the Fox intellectualism. De Niro's not offering insides, throwing tantrums disguised as thought. And that's not just absurd, it's dangerous. When influence becomes unmoored from reality, chaos isn't a side effect, it's the main event. Rogan and Watters treat it like a case study, calm, methodical, and sharp as ever. While De Niro spirals in search of a script he was never given, Rogan keeps chasing real ideas and Watters keeps spinning ego into punchlines.